Hello everyone, welcome to another learning session of Foundation of Programming at CodeMode, where you learn by practice. Currently you are learning about algorithm and flowchart, and in today's class we'll learn about three main stages of algorithm. Before I start, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel, especially if you are watching on YouTube. For complete course and practice, go to our platform my.codemode.us. Let's begin. When we write algorithm, it has three distinct stages. In the last class, we learned about 5 characteristics of an algorithm, in which 2 were input and output. If you remember, an algorithm may have some input and it also usually will have some output. Now, input and output are 2 distinct characteristics of an algorithm. The third stage is the center one, is what we call it processing. This is where we process all the input we received and we generate the output. And if you remember, this processing again is set of steps. And in the last class, we learned that these steps must be finite, must be definite, and must be effective. Now we'll take an example. Let's say we are going to add 3 numbers and find the average of 3 numbers. So finding the average of 3 numbers has set of steps. The first stage is input, in which we want to ask user the first number, whatever number user wants to include in this finding the average. Then we ask user the second number, and then finally ask the third number. These 3 numbers are nothing but our inputs. We got it. For our algorithm to work, we need these 3 numbers, because we are saying find the average of 3 numbers. So where will the 3 numbers come? Those are the inputs to the algorithm. Then the next step is what we call it processing. It will have primarily 2 steps. Number 1, we need to calculate the sum of the 3 numbers, right? In order to find the average, let's say there are 3 numbers x, y, and z. We got these 3 numbers as an input. In the processing stage, we'll take a variable s stands for sum, and we'll say x plus y plus z, and then we will also say average a equal to s divided by 3. These 2 are our main steps of finding the average of 3 numbers. And finally, the last one, what we call refer as output, we will give a back to the screen or back to the user. Now in this one, as you can see, input, we have output, and then this processing. When you learn coding, when you either it's a Python, Java, C++, C#, does not matter. Learn to think in terms of input, processing, and output. This way you will be able to organize yourself, because these 3 together form the skeleton of your program. You always identify your input, and you know that these input will be processed here in the processing stage, and then you will have an output. So you will always find use a data point that will become your output, and your goal is to find the value of this a average using 3 input variables x and y. By keeping this structure in mind, it's much easier to write any Python program or Java program. It's much easier to do the coding, much easier to solve a problem when you have when you learn to clearly identify your input, processing, and output. That's all in this class. If you have any question, post it in the community on my.codemode.us. Also take time to solve the quiz associated with this concept. It will not only make you practice, but also test your knowledge and understanding. I'll see you all in the next class. Keep learning.